Hello, you are watching Shalom World News. I'm Rory McLennan coming to you from Glasgow, Scotland. Here are the latest headlines from around the world. More than 100 Catholic men from all over Ireland assembled in Derry on Saturday, September the 22nd, to take part in a Rosary rally. They were joined by 3 priests from parishes in Derry, as well as several women. Also present at the rally was Mickey Hart, the ex-manager of the Tyrone Gaelic football team, who led the team to 3 All-Ireland finals. He led 1 decade of the Rosary at the event. The Rosary rally itself is a monthly event, and the next one will take place in the city of Newry. The church in the US state of Michigan has decried the vetoing of funds worth $16 million for alternatives to abortion by Governor Gretchen Whitmer. David Maluchnik, who is the vice president for communications at the Michigan Catholic Conference, said that Whitmer's veto amplifies the disappointing reality that the abortion industry is more important than vulnerable mothers and the unborn child. He accused the governor of twice vetoing state funding that provides mothers in difficult pregnancies with materials and emotional support during their pregnancy and for the first year after the baby's birth. Maluchnik also urged pro-life leaders and people of goodwill to pray and work harder to protect the unborn. Among the provisions vetoed are $10 million for educational information materials on adoption as an alternative to abortion, $1.5 million for pregnancy resource centres, and $1 million for pregnancy and parenting services at colleges and universities. The Bishop of the South Sudanese diocese of Tombura-Yambio, Eduardo Hiiboro Kussala, has appealed to believers to protect, respect and help priests and religious. His heartfelt appeal comes in the wake of violent clashes between 2 ethnic groups in the diocese that have led to the displacement of hundreds of families. While addressing priests, seminarians, religious and catechists, the bishop stressed that the love of God has no boundaries and everyone should entrust themselves to him as true believers. Bishop Kussala also urged them to build bridges between both communities, setting aside differences. He also encouraged his priests to avoid occasions that fuel perplexity. Almost 15% of the population has been affected by the episodes of violence in the country, and most notably in Tombura-Yambio. The 5th Plenary Council of the Australian Church got underway on Sunday, October the 3rd, with an opening mass celebrated by Archbishop Timothy Costelloe at St Mary's Cathedral in Perth. The event, which goes on until October the 10th, is attended by 278 members of the Plenary Council consisting of bishops, priests, members of religious congregations and lay people. While opening the virtual summit, Archbishop Costelloe, who is also the president of the Plenary Council, said that Catholics must become a community of true disciples. He also stressed the need to return to the Church to Christ and return Christ to the Church. The Archbishop also exhorted everyone to become a living icon of Christ himself, adding that if people remain in him as branches of the vine, then they will bear much fruit. Hundreds of pro-life supporters assembled in Madison, the capital of the US state of Wisconsin, on Saturday, October the 2nd, to take part in the first March for Life. The event was part of several March for Life demonstrations that took place in cities across the country. After the march around the state capital, pro-lifers assembled in front of Planned Parenthood Madison on Oren Road and took part in a prayer service. During the event, Executive Director of the Pro-Life Action League, Anne Scheidler, said that the pro-life movement is going through a critical time as the US Supreme Court is going to hear arguments in the Dobbs versus Jackson case on December the 1st. The lawsuit challenges the Roe versus Wade ruling that decriminalised abortion in 1973. The Archbishop of Westminster and head of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of England and Wales, Cardinal Vincent Nichols, has decried a High Court ruling against a pro-life lawsuit filed by 2 individuals. Heidi Crowther, who has Down syndrome, and Myra Lee Wilson, who has a son with Down syndrome, jointly filed a lawsuit against the government for allowing abortion up to birth for non-fatal fetal abnormalities such as Down syndrome. However, the High Court rejected their case. During his homily at the Red Mass, which was offered for Britain's legal community at Westminster Cathedral on October the 1st, the prelate said he fully understood Heidi's cry, which is rooted in her instinct for the innate dignity that is hers as a human being made in the image of God. The Holy Father, Pope Francis, has once again prayed for peace in crisis-hit Myanmar, where protests by civilians against the military junta are continuing. During his Sunday Angelus, the Pope implored God for the gift of peace for Myanmar. On October the 1st, the Asian nation marked 6 months of the military coup that overthrew the elected government. So far, at least 1,114 civilians have been killed by the military as it brutally tries to stifle protests. More than 8,000 people have also been arrested ever since the protests against the junta began in February of this year. The nation is also witnessing growing conflict between ethnic militia and government troops in the Christian-majority state of Chin, where thousands have been displaced and hundreds of houses, churches and buildings damaged. More than 300,000 pro-life supporters assembled in Mexico City on Sunday, October the 3rd, to take part in the March for Women and Life. The crowd gathered at the foot of the National Auditorium in order to stand for life. Proclaiming that Mexico is a pro-life country, the march was held in response to a Supreme Court ruling that determined the penalisation of abortion to be unconstitutional. In addition, the Supreme Court had also imposed restrictions on the conscientious objection of medical professionals to the termination of pregnancy. The pro-lifers marched 3 kilometres from the National Auditorium to the Independence Monument, also known as the Angel of Independence. The march also featured testimonies and speeches from the march coordinator Marcial Padilla, as well as Mayra Rodriguez, who formerly worked with Planned Parenthood. Similar marches were also organised in cities across the country. A historic bridge across the Tiber River in Rome that was opened by Pope Pius IX in the 19th century was damaged in a blaze early on Sunday, October the 3rd. Firefighters doused the flames before sunrise. No one was hurt in the incident. Investigators say an exploding gas canister from a shack occupied by homeless people nearby could have caused the fire that later spread. The fire caused a portion of the outer pedestrian walkway to collapse into the river below. Opened in 1863, the bridge named Ponte dell'Industria is currently closed for repairs. It was one of the last significant construction projects in Rome during the final years of the Papal States. And those are your latest headlines. Do join us again tomorrow. In the meantime, you can visit swnews.org for more updates. Shalom.